Welcome to Loup TV. I'm your host, Gene Munster. I'm joined today, Ron Kober from Israel. Thank you, Ron, for joining us. The topic today is a BreezoMeter. This is a product that you may have never heard of the name, but it's highly likely you have interacted with their products. And we wanted to talk specifically about how BreezoMeter is helping us better understand our air quality, using tech to better understand our air quality and separate kind of the long-term vision of this company. And so welcome, Ron. I'm a big fan of your product, and I'm just going to start. We are not investors in BreezoMeter here. I just love what you're doing. And I'm going to show everybody, if you're curious in a nutshell what they do, open your iPhone, go to the weather app. I'll show it to you, this beautiful colored spectrum here. Let me see, is that upside down or right side up here? I can't tell. But Ron, what am I looking at there?
Yeah, so what are you looking at and showing is Apple very famous weather app. And one of the new features in Apple Weather app as part of the 14.3 iOS versions and beyond is a new features that shows the real-time air quality data provided by BreezoMeter at the exact user's location. We at BreezoMeter have the technology to provide very accurate real-time air quality information at an astonishing resolution of up to 16 feet. And this data is currently available on iOS as part of the Apple Weather app in 5 countries, which is, of course, the US, India, Mexico, Germany, and the UK.
Well, there's a lot there. I'm going to quickly back up. So this just became available on the most recent version of weather, correct?
Yes, correct.
And second is, you said the accuracy is within 16 feet. That just sounds hard to believe. How is that? How is even 100, 200, 300 feet even possible?
Yeah, so it's very hard to believe, especially because air quality is also extremely dynamic, much more than weather and fast changing.
Yeah, yes.
So and it's very also easy to imagine why, because air pollution is being impacted by weather. Weather conditions impact air pollution. But on top of that, also humans, us, we also impact air pollution, traffic, lockdown, power plants emission, chemical plants emission, all of those parameters also impact air pollution. So in order to provide the most accurate air quality data available, we leverage exclusive access to data about traffic, about data about wildfires condition, and other data sets. All together, we gather information from millions of observations, and we also developed very sophisticated machine learning and AI algorithms that know how to take this data, crunch it, and use it in order to provide accurate
Got it. Okay.
information.
So you may take data from, it's not every 16 feet, obviously, but you may take data from more sporadic data points, but using some AI makes some inferences to a very specific point about what the air quality is.
Exactly, exactly. So
Right.
for example, a traffic data that we use is derived from vehicle sensors, smartphones, road sensors, and tens of millions of connected cars. And that allow us on top of other data
I
sets
see.
yeah.
You know the traffic, I happen to live right next to a highway, so you'd know if there was stop and go traffic, the speed of the traffic, and what the potential pollution impact of that is.
Exactly, exactly. And our focus is to use this data together with other data sources in order to provide the most accurate air pollution forecast, and most importantly, how it might impact people's health, taking into account their chronic conditions.
Got it. Okay, so we know that air quality has an impact on health. I'm curious, before we get into some of the mechanics of what's happened, if you look at the usage of BreezoMeter, does it change by country, by city? Are there any sort of learnings that you have about which type of people care more about the quality of their air?
Yes, definitely. So it's important also to emphasize that thanks to our partners and customers, companies like Verizon and AstraZeneca and Bosch, every day more than 300 million people use our data to make informed decision on how to improve their health and reduce their exposure to air pollution. Obviously, there is different usage in different countries. The number one country that uses our information every day is the United States, and afterwards it's countries like the UK and Germany. At the top 10, there is also Russia and Japan as well. It's important also to emphasize that we are not only providing data about air pollution, we also provide data about pollen. So in different countries,
Okay,
there is more
gotcha.
demand for that data.
That's a big deal. Thank goodness I don't have allergies, but I would imagine that is most helpful. Do you see any, can you even go a little bit more specific within the United States? Is a rural area look at this data less than somebody who lives in an urban area?
Yeah, so it's also, also the usage is also fluctuate on, on a season based. So obviously during those awful wildfires that happens in the West
Right.
Coast and California, we see increasing demand for this solution as well. We also provide alerts about wildfires, so there is also demand for this as well. During winter, we see there is a drop in some of the usage because the rain wash out most of the pollution. So
Funny.
so people are aware of that, but sometimes that then there is high demand for pollen in case pollen season in nearby. So it's basically change due to the current
Makes
most
sense.
dominant pollutant
Ron, let
that
me ask you
may
this,
impact
just as
people.
a trivia, you have insight into this, but for my own satisfaction here, which are the cities that have the worst air pollution?
Yeah, so we see that very differently, because as I mentioned, we are able to provide accurate information at an astonishing resolution of 16 feet. So in every city, even the most, the worst cities in the world, like New Delhi, you will find at every point of time streets or location in which you have good air quality.
Okay,
Otherwise, people wouldn't be able to live there. So, and this is
fair.
exactly part of our mission to not only highlight the worst places, but also to highlight where you should go outside, when is the right time to go outside, and make sure that your kids are outside and
That's
play.
incredible.
Yeah.
I'm going to start to travel around the city and see how the air quality readings change. It's going to be a fascinating experiment. You are in the early stages of your growth. You mentioned that this is the first time you're working with some companies. You mentioned now you're part of Apple. How has the growth in your usage, what's the key metric that you look at to measure your success, and how has that changed over the past year?
So one of the major growth metrics we use is the number of API calls used by our customers. To give you some perspective, we started 2020 with about 150 million API calls, and we finished
Per year or
per month. Per
per month?
month,
Okay,
yes.
100 to 150 million per month a year ago.
Yes, and we finished 2020 with over 2 billion of
2
API calls per month and growing. And again, there is also different spikes, depending on different events
right?
like wildfires or pollen season and so forth. And it's growing more fast, faster than exponential growth, which is amazing.
That is. Can you give us the month over month growth in APIs?
I don't remember because it's what I do remember is that at some point in the summer, we had 1 month which we have grown by almost 100%. So basically it was 150 and growing until it reached 1 billion somewhere in July, and then it went to over 2
That's fun.
billion in September.
You're right in the sweet spot curve, and I want to kind of fast forward. Do you have any advice for earlier companies that are trying to navigate building these relationships?
Yeah, so one of our investors had a very nice tweet about it, and he wrote that sometimes great meals takes longer to cook, so you need to be patient, and you also need to make sure that you are concentrating on partnerships that are aligned with the company vision. At BreezoMeter, for example, the reason that we founded the company is in order to help improve the health of billions of
Yeah.
people who might be exposed to environmental hazards, which include air pollution, but also other environmental hazards. And we are super focused on that. And if you know that this is your vision, you know that
Right.
you should partner with companies that have reach to
I mean, it
millions or even billions.
defines Apple, their mission, wellness, and so that makes a ton of sense why you're right in line with where their brand wants to be. I want to end with just taking a step forward and think, beyond these partnerships and building experiences that people use. They may not use BreezoMeter, but they get exposure to the product. What's the long-term vision of the company? Do you want to be something that powers these insights for third parties, or do you want to actually build a brand? And if so, what does the brand stand for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, first of all, as you can see, almost every company that use our services also provide attribution to our website. So it's important to us to also build our own brand. And our goal is to be the Google of the environment, to democratize environmental data. So far, we have succeeded to provide the most accurate insight on air quality, pollen, and fires. And we believe that using our core technology and our team expertise, we can expand our forecast to also forecast earthquakes, how climate change impact businesses and people's health, to detect water contamination and other environmental hazards that might be impacting billions of people.
My fifth grade science teacher, Mrs. Nickrad, is just going to be falling out of her chair right now when she hears that you're going to be able to predict earthquakes. We're going to have to rewrite some of the science books here. That is powerful. And so when you put that together, do you see BreezoMeter being a brand 10 years from now that people know?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Again, currently already more than 300 million
Right.
people use our
People know you
services,
today. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah,
and we just got started.
let me back up. A lot of people know who you are today. I should have said it better as that a household name. I'm excited. Thank you for joining Loop TV, Ron. Thank you for giving us insights to help us live more healthily. On behalf of everything that Ron's doing and myself, Gene Munster and Loop TV, bye for now.